After 25 years of designing learning experience programs in everything from the classroom to the boardroom of multinationals, I've just created a workflow that takes me hours, what used to take me days, and honestly, it's freaking me out. So I've decided to procrastinate jumping back into that project to show you exactly what I've built. So by the end of this video, you'll see how I'm using Mural, Notion, and a ChatGPT project to design faster without losing any of my craft. And maybe this could change the way you build your next program too. So in this video, what I'll do is walk you through why speed matters when it comes to learning design, what I'm designing, how I approach design, and that AI-enabled workflow, the Mural templates and Notion database, the ChatGPT project instructions that thinks just like I do, and a mega prompt that turns that brainstorm into a script that's 80% of the way there because of the workflow. So let's start off with why speed even matters, because even after decades of learning experience design, I know that planning and development still takes me longer than I think it should. Maybe you've come across this too. It's called the planning fallacy. It's that cognitive bias where we underestimate how long something will take, even when we know that things take longer than we think they should. And this is a hidden cost of research and development. If you're developing your own product, your own service, this is productive, but it's not revenue generating yet. So the quicker you can get it in the hands of your clients, the quicker you can make money from it. But to be honest, this still is relevant if you have a contract with a business and you're designing a learning program, because often you'd have itemized the amount of time your design will take, right? And so that gets signed off, and it's very rare that you can go back to a client and say, excuse me, it's taking me longer than I thought it was going to take to design this program. Can you give me some more money? Because they're just going to turn around and say, you should have put that in the budget. So I know that there are exceptions to that, but it is important for us to be able to design our programs faster. So we can start to make money from it, but also so that we can have an impact. And so after all these 25 years, I am still chasing smarter ways to work, which relates to what we help our clients with. Now, for those of you that don't know, we help our clients who are self-employed coaches, consultants, and facilitators who don't want to hustle, but want to grow their business through relationships and in a way that's authentic and genuine for them. So we help them build these relationship-first business development habits to create those clear and compelling offers and this non-icky sales system. So there's no cold pitching, no ads, no burnout, and all those things. Now, by the way, if this sounds like you and you're curious to know if this could work for you, then DM me and we can set up a chat to talk about it. But back to this. When we help our clients design that clear and compelling offer, this is a baseline because this gives them the ability to solve one clear problem for one clear avatar with one clear offer, which makes things much easier to market, sell, and deliver. So once that's there, we go a little bit further because we want to build more leverage in their businesses so they can work smarter, not harder. And that's where this new series of courses that I'm building comes in. It's called the Content Machine. And we're talking about social media content here because there does come a point where social media content, whether it's on LinkedIn or wherever it is, and we mainly focus on LinkedIn, can help nurture your clients. And eventually your content can become a client getting strategy. But I know that creating content is one of those time sucks. And I know all of that because despite not being a content guru or even having a massive following, the majority of my clients over the last year have come through content. And even when I started writing content about 2.5, 3 years ago, I was still getting a trickle of clients who were reaching out to me because of what I was putting out in the world. And I know that content would take me way longer to write than I really wanted it to. And even now that I'm experimenting with video, this video is taking me a lot longer to record than I really wanted to as well. So I'm not by any means saying that I am the best at this, but I have created a system that has been working. And that is exactly what I'm putting in the hands of my clients. So I'm packaging up the learnings that I've had from my own trial and error, the experts I've worked with, the courses I've done for the next evolution of what we teach: clarity, connection, and consistency. So to build this course properly, I decided to lean on what I know best: learning design. So I want to tell you a little bit about the approach. Now, I'm not going to bore you with telling you things that you already know, like start with the outcome, But I do want to share with you how I think about learning experience design, because you do have an outcome that you want your learners, your clients to get to, like something that they achieve as a result of the experience. Now, let's just depict that with some kind of target. And there is a starting point. So, starting point, let's depict that with a checkered flag. Do you use checkered flags to do starting points? Okay, well, we are anyway. So, that's a starting point. And along the way, they're going to come across certain challenges, barriers, obstacles. So let's just depict this with these, let's call them fences, right? So these are the obstacles, barriers, and all those things. Now, they could be things like they don't know how to do something, they don't have something, just stuff that's getting in the way of getting from where they are, the start point, to this end point. And so every part of the learning experience has got to be related to how you can help them overcome these challenges. And the best way to think about this is to think about what the active verb is. So, what are the steps that they've got to take in order to get from where they are to where they want to be? And this is different from thinking about things as topics. And the other piece about this is I like to think about all of these things as three by three structures. So can we separate out the program into kind of three phases? Phase one, phase two, phase three. I've missed out the E there. And within the phases, can we subdivide those into like three module sets, for example? I find that easier to explain, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of research around the rule of threes and all of those things. So that's kind of part of how I think about this. But more practically, the reason why I like threes is because we host our course on a platform called School. And as you can see here, there are these three different columns. And this is our core product, nail, niche, develop, offer, sell, offer. And so with this new leverage material, this content machine, I wanted to fit really neatly across a row. So that's why we do threes. This is broadly the approach I take. So now that I think about how I can map out things as steps, this is where things get really interesting, because here I'm going to just show you some of the process that I use when it comes to how I do learning design. Because first of all, what I try to do is do a bit of a brain dump on Mural. Now, I've shown you this, how I've laid out the course, nail, niche, develop, offer, sell, offer. So this is how I had planned this core program whenever it is that I did this. So you could see here, we've got the clarity roadmap. That's what it's, the overall kind of process. Nail, niche, develop, offer, sell, offer. And within here, we've got kind of four different things. I'll come back to this. It's the why, the what, the how, and the now. It's a way of thinking about the strategy of each course. And then underneath here, I basically lay out the things that I want people to know. And I mean, I've moved certain things to kind of expand on them. So things we want them to know, activities we want them to do, that type of stuff. So this is how I think through designing things on Mural before I start creating the session plans, the kind of the scripts and all those things. But one of the things that I do, so you can see, I started to do this for the content machine. It doesn't look as fancy because I'm still developing it. So that's what I first do. I use my brain. Then what I do is go and gather existing notes and resources from other things that I've learned and start mapping them in the courses that I want them to be in as a reference, so that I can make so I can like develop the material from that. Then I thought, I use ChatGPT to help me do a whole bunch of other things, and I'm pretty good at it. So let me go and use my Better Answers GPT, this custom GPT that I built for day-to-day tasks, to help me with some of this brainstorming. And it's at that point when I was fleshing out the guidance I wanted to give it around being a learning experience designer to help me brainstorm and all that stuff. And I thought, hang on a minute, why don't I create a ChatGPT project? Which is what I did. So here is the ChatGPT project called the Content Machine. And I went and added the instructions here. So I told it what role I wanted it to be: learning designer, content strategist, educational video script writer. Great, so it knows how it's doing that. Gave its primary objectives, told it what my target audience is, the tone, the voice and tone, and more importantly, I decided to give it the different phases of my process. So content strategy design, the knowledge and tools mapping, the module scripting, so the module script planning, and then the which has got the why, what, how, now pieces, and then the module scripting piece, phase 4 of how I kind of do my work. I also then gave it various resources. So down here, I gave it a list of the resources that I had used. So you could see 7 files here. So these are the external resources, the notes I've made, and all those things. So it's all there, which is amazing. So having built the project, given it the instructions, given it the notes and all those things, I decided I needed to test it. And so what I did in this first chat called Course Flow Refinements is I gave it some very vague instructions to consider what might be included in a course to get people to be posting regularly and very strategically so that they're building trust with their audience and ultimately guiding them, their audience, to become their clients. And the first freaky thing was that it mapped out the course pretty much as I had thought the steps would be, which was amazing. The next thing I decided to do was to tell it that I prefer these things to be clumped up into 3 courses. Like I told you, the rule of 3s, or having 3s basically looks good on my school platform, but also it's helpful for people to remember. And so that's what this chat here, course name suggestions, you can see it here. I told it I've decided that this training is going to be made up of 3 separate but related courses. The overview is going to be the content machine, made up of, and then I basically gave it my initial thoughts, and it then mapped out what the name should be. Build the machine, fuel the machine, run the machine. Brilliant. Love it. And it also suggested what the modules might include. I actually disagreed with it somewhat, or at least I wanted to refine it. So I gave it a little bit more guidance around it, and it just refined things there. Now, like I said, this was a freaky thing, but it wasn't the most freaky thing. The next freaky thing that happened, and by the way, there's 2 more, including this one, is that I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and map out each of the modules. Now, for me, a module is essentially a unit of learning. And so you have already seen that in the instructions, I want each module to have these 4 sections: the why, the what, the how, and the now. You saw it on my mural, you're seeing it here. And so I had a chat with it. And this is all a chat for the first phase, build the machine. And for each of the modules, I was giving it some guidance like this. So now let's do map your content to the buyer journey. This is one of the modules that we've got. And I gave it a little bit more guidance. I told it what I wanted to include, what I wanted to, the activity I want to do, and all those things. And as you can see, it's given the learner intentions. By the end of the lesson, they will do this: the why, the what, the how, and the now, which is pretty freaky because, well, I mean, it's not freaky if you think about it. I told it what I wanted to include. It had a reference to all those different things, but it did a pretty good job. So here you can see this is where the curriculum lives in my Notion, and this is the content machine here. So I'm here listing out the module sets and the modules, and you can see, for example, here, clarify that your core message. I go ahead and just copy and paste the why, the what, the how, and the now as the overall guidance. But the most freaky thing was when I went to go and develop the script. So you can see I have a mega prompt from the script for the script down here. It is probably easier for me to show you this on a separate page. So let me just get a page up. Script prompt, right? because I use Markdown. So I had initially made this as a custom GPT, but it turns out you can't use a custom GPT within projects. And so you can see I've told it it's an instructional designer, what it can do, and the workflow. So I've written this in a way that I can give it to my clients eventually. So asks who the audience is, what the overall offer is for the thing that you're doing, the overview of the specific video, any particular constraints like the length of the video, that kind of stuff. This is the source collection. So this is where the format stuff goes in. Basically, any facts, data, excerpts, reference documents, specific examples. So here's where, when it gets to this part of the process, I then just copy and paste the stuff from the why, what, how, now. Why, what, how, now? Yes, that's it. Into here. And then it does this thing called the gap check. Now, as a side point, I found this amazing prompt called the reality filter, which basically helps ChatGPT not to make up stuff, and also identifies any gaps that you give it. So it has a bit of a reality check, and it then plans the lesson. So with an intro, what we'll cover, the key concepts. So it's basically taking all of the why, what, how, now piece and just turning into kind of different sections, and then a bit of a synthesis, that kind of final activity, key takeaways and next steps, and then presents the action plan, whatever. So it basically does that. And then after that, we agree that that's what we're going to do. It then scripts it. Then we review it. We revise it. We do a final output. And then there's a kind of a reality filter summary as well, just so that it just knows that that's what it's doing consistently. And oh my gosh, this thing, where is my Notion, is creating some amazing scripts, like I said, are pretty much there. So let's have a look at it. Where was I? Content machine, draft a script. We were in this one. Here is my resources, video. And this is not a bad script. This is pretty much what I would have mapped out myself. And like I said, this is making things so much quicker. And I'm going to show you how much quicker this is making it. So this is my timesheet. So I chart how long it takes me to do certain things. Now I'm going to highlight a few things. So you can see I set up the project here. I started off here and here. So it took me about 2.5 hours to set up the project. And then I decided to create the ChatGPT video script thing. Took me about an hour. But after, this is the mapping out phase 1 of the content strategy. This took me about 4 hours, so about half a day. So I don't mind that, because it was, it's the big thinking that I'm doing. But when it comes to creating the script, you can see if I filter for script, it is taking me half an hour, about 0.7 hours, just over an hour for the core message video, 15 minutes for the intro video for the entire blueprint, and then building out a strategic framework, 1.5 hours to build out that script. Now, I don't know how long it takes you to script out videos, but I know that it takes me way longer than this to even do a 5-minute video. So the fact that I'm doing things in less than an hour or just over an hour, if it's a task, if it's something that requires a task and an activity that needs designing, is incredible, because you can see I have got quite a bit of content to go through. Even just the first phase has something like 14 lessons that I need to cover, and there's going to be a similar amount of lessons or modules in the other phases. So the quicker I can do this, the better. And really, this is not about shortcuts. It's about working smarter. It's about making sure that we're building systems that help us think. And the best part of this process, it's not just for me, it'll help me get this content machine in the hands of my clients faster so they can grow their content game. But this whole workflow, what I'm sharing with you, the Mural templates, the project instructions, the mega prompts, and all those things, is what I'm eventually going to give my clients too, which is a double whammy. It's very meta, I know, because working smarter doesn't mean doing less. It means designing better so you can do what matters most. Now, having seen all this, I'm kind of curious to hear what workflow has freaked you out lately. Let me know in the comments and let's chat about it.